I want you to talk about the different kinds of fat and how the body decides, if you will, where to deposit what.
Okay. One of my favorite topics, because think about the fact that when we say the word fat, those people who are listening or watching this, we're hardwired in society to kind of like shudder when we hear the word fat, right?
Yeah.
So think about it. I'm sure everyone has this experience. You shower in the morning, you step out of the shower, you're drying off, and out of the corner of your eye, you look in the mirror. And no matter who you are, you're going to see or a lump or a bump that doesn't make you happy, right? And so automatically, body fat. Then you step on the scale, and if that number isn't the exact number you were hoping for, you curse yourself. And so immediately, like, we start thinking about body weight, body shape, body fat in very negative terms. And in fact, if you go to the grocery store, okay, I mean, I know, you're a vegan. So like, but even if you just wheel your cart by the meat section and you see a ribeye steak with a big rind of fat, look, people just go, ugh, I hope nobody eats that. Okay.
Right.
I hope they don't sell that. So our relationship in terms of just even recognizing the word fat is very negative. But in fact, there is a time in our lives where fat is nothing but good. And that's when we see a baby, a big, fat, chubby baby is a healthy baby.
Right.
It doesn't make us shudder. It makes us smile.
Yeah.
Right. Just that I watch your face. The moment the image came to your face, we smile. So we know that fat can't be all bad. So this led to the research I did to try to figure out, okay, what's the dope on fat? All right. Well, it turns out that fat is not all created equal. We've got two different colors of fat. The same way that, if you've ever had to paint a room, the walls of your room, what do? You go to the paint store, you go to the paint section, they've got all these swatches of colors. And let's say someone told you to paint your room in two colors, just to make it interesting. You might pick one swatch and then another swatch, and then you bring the paint cans home, and then your brushes have to be different colors. Same way that fat is created in our body. There's two colors of fat. There's white fat and there's brown fat. And white fat is the stuff you see under your chin, under your arm. It's the muffin top. It's on the thigh. It's on the butt. That's the stuff that we can see in the mirror, and the stuff that we usually want to get rid of. Okay. Things we see with the white fat, the part we see isn't the most dangerous stuff. It might be the least pleasing, but it's not the most dangerous to your health. The most dangerous to your health is white fat that's stuffed inside the tube of your body. So whether you're a big-bodied person or a thin person with a thin tube for a body, you can stuff extra body fat in there, and that extra body fat is dangerous. And so that's the part that you want to get tame or burn down. And then brown fat is the other kind of fat that is not lumpy bumpy. You can't see it in the mirror. And it's really interesting because it was only discovered in humans in the last decade or two. It's paper thin. It's down the side of our neck. It's behind our breastbone, a little bit under our arms, a little bit in our bellies. And in cold temperatures, or when we eat certain kinds of foods like chili peppers or tomatoes or onions or bok choy or mushrooms or citrus, there are factors in our foods that light up our brown fat, and our brown fat, when it's turned on, burns down extra harmful body fat, starting with the dangerous stuff in the tube of our body. So good fat can fight bad fat, and you can eat in order to turn that process on. That's the amazing part. You want to fight fat, eat the right kind of food.
Yes, I've heard about brown fat on this podcast, and so you could say it's kind of the good kind of fat. The other white fat that is, you said, definitely it's the part you can see, right? It's on your bum, it's on your muffin top, wherever. Where's the other white fat that you mentioned? Is it around our organs?
Yeah, it's called visceral fat. It's in the tube of our body. Okay. And it's packed in between our organs. So think about this.
Okay.
It's invisible because each of us have this unique body tube.
Yeah.
All right. And when you stuff it with organs, they're all contained in the tube. If you start adding fat to it, you'll stretch the tube. Think about bigger waistline. Okay. Now you need a bigger belt size. All right. And when you shrink your waistline, you're losing harmful body fat. All right. So that's actually visceral fat. Visceral means gut.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, it's what people used to refer to as skinny fat. So
Yeah.
women who are thin can still have very dangerous amounts of extra body fat. I'll give you an example. If you wanted to ship some fluorescent light bulbs across the country, you would take your light bulbs, go to the FedEx store, and you'd ask them for a thin box to ship your light bulbs. And then like, oh, I don't want these things to break. Let me buy a bag of peanuts. All right. Not great for the environment, but let's say you buy them anyway. And you pour the peanuts into the box, and now you're cushioning the light bulbs. And then you're like, man, but I want to use all these peanuts up. And so you force and stuff those extra peanuts into that box. You really, really shove every last peanut in. All right. Now that box is pretty darn stuffed with peanuts. Okay. Then you're going to still tape the box shut. You're going to force that box shut and tape it shut at arm's length. That box is still skinny, but inside it is packed with those peanuts to bursting to the gills. That's what skinny fat is. And so thin people also need to worry about excess harmful body fat.
Yeah.
And thin people can actually change their metabolism because they're building this up. And by the way, you know where the first place that this fat forms?
No.
Okay. Most people would think that skinny fat, the first way you would know in a thin person that they're getting too much skinny fat is by looking at their waist.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
okay.
My belly's getting bigger. Wrong. The first place that harmful skinny fat forms is on your tongue. Your tongue is the first place that gets
I should have
fat.
guessed that. I want to get into that because I want to talk about snoring. I should have guessed. I knew that part. Okay, so you're really saying that looks can be very deceiving for somebody that is very thin from the outside. I had a roommate in college, Denise, who in college for me was, late 80s, very, very early 90s. And it was the thing to be, almost anorexic looking, right? Like that was what was in. And so she was so skinny and she looked so great in her jeans. The little tiny belt would go around. But Denise ate McDonald's twice a day. And that's it. She did not have very many foods that she liked. And I worked in the drive-thru at McDonald's. So she would always have me bring after school. But she was one of those that was, she'd eat like 3/4 of the cheeseburger and like half the fries. It's like, who does that? I mean, I don't know anyone that can get fast food and eat just like part of it. Right. So she was eating, I don't know, probably only 800 calories a day or something. But I always remember thinking it just can't be healthy. It just can't be healthy. She looks great, but I'm guessing she had a significant amount of fat, a significant amount of white fat inside that who knows how her health is now, but maybe just starting to bloom as a 19-year-old or a 20 or 20-year-old, but a lifetime of young adulthood like that is definitely going to build up harmful internal body fat. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to the tongue because I wanted to ask you about snoring and its link to visceral fat.
Right. Okay. So snoring, is often due to excess tissue in the back of our throat. So we call that sleep apnea sometimes, people who are overweight or obese will often be snoring and they don't get a good night's sleep and they're tired all the time. They do the sleep study and then their doctor says, oh, you've got sleep apnea, and sometimes do surgery to cut out some of the extra tissue in your, that is one medical thing that happens. But guess what? A study has shown that in thin people who actually gain excess harmful visceral fat, one of the first places they gain it is in their tongue. And the reason they gain visceral fat in their tongue, which might be a surprise, is that the tongue is actually made of 3 parts. A lot of people don't know this. Mm-hmm. The tip of the tongue, the front of the tongue, first part, is like an acrobat, Cirque du Soleil. It can do all kinds of magic tricks. The middle of the tongue is really strong. It moves food from the left to the right, so it can be chewed up. And the back of the tongue is like a beanbag. It allows food to slide down to your throat after you've chewed it. And the back of that tongue, that beanbag part, is 1/3 of it is made out of visceral fat. Normally, it's a fatty tongue. Okay. And so that's where visceral fat naturally grows in your tongue. When you start gaining extra visceral fat, that's one of the first places it starts to grow in the back of the tongue, because it's already a third visceral fat. And now that visceral fat starts to grow. So what's a consequence and what's a connection to snoring?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the first tip-offs that a slender person might be accumulating dangerous extra body fat that you cannot see in the mirror is because their bed partner goes, "Hey, honey, do you know that you've been snoring?" Now, why would that be caused by, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I know." Well, have you checked out your weight? Yeah, I'm gaining a little weight too. And here's what's happening. When you're sleeping, your whole body's relaxed, okay? And your tongue is also relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And when your fat tongue is relaxed, it slides down the back and it blocks your airways. So you start snoring. You wake up as well. So this is one of the early telltale signs of people that are gaining excess visceral harmful body fat, is when they actually start snoring when they didn't snore before. Now, by the same token, when you actually work on lowering extra body fat, you can also skinny up your tongue back to normal size.
Okay. That's a hot tip, because that's your kind of like your first indicator, like,
early warning sign.
Yeah, for sure. And those are important for a lot of reasons.